Alrighty, hello, you guys. Happy Anything Can Happen Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Welcome in. Welcome those who are tuning in for the first time. Welcome back. Our repeat tuner-ins. Don't know how to say that properly, but anyway, welcome back, you guys. I am so excited today. One, I'm having an amazing day, for sure. A lot of good things going on, so we got to take advantage of those. But also, I just saw this interview with Candace Owens and Victor Marx, and as you guys know, we did a reaction to the interview that she did with a gentleman named Corby Hall a few weeks ago. You guys absolutely love that one, so we had to run it back for the actual interview with Candace Owens and Victor Marx. And might I say, things got spicy, you guys. So I wanted to do a reaction to you guys, give my general thoughts and opinions on how their interview went. Because let's just be honest, from the very beginning, the energy was tight. You can definitely tell that there was some tension from the start of the interview, to be fair. And I'll get into specifically, sorry guys, it was cooperating, but I've been in meetings all morning, so now it's starting not to cooperate, so do excuse me, I'm trying to get this out of my face. Okay, I think that's much better. But anyway, so you can tell that, there was just some tension on the camera. I'm going to get into it. We're going to dive deep as much as we can, especially on some of the highlights that I think really just made the interview, you can kind of say, go left, maybe turn back to the right direction. But let's just be honest, I don't think Candace Owens was even expecting him to be that defensive, especially right off the bat, right? I don't think anyone can argue with when this man came in, she was ready to go, but he just turned into a whole different direction. I didn't expect her to take the interview position that she took from the start, and I didn't expect him to react the way that he did. But we're gonna get all into all the juicy details. Because I just have a lot of thoughts and opinions on them. But before we get into today's topic, do remember to subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, do like the video, and do comment below. Like, were you guys at the edge of your seats when watching this interview? Because I surely was. And I'm curious to know your thoughts and opinions on how it went. But without further ado, let's get into today's topic. Okay, now, before we get into this, I have my timestamps ready, guys. I have everything ready to go. But before we get into this, obviously these are allegations, opinions, online discussions, public claims, all that, right? I'm not here to convict anybody. I'm not here to destroy anybody. I'm not here to take sides. I'm simply reacting to the interview itself, Candace's approach, Victor Marx's behavior during the interview, and the overall dynamics of the conversation. Because whether you agree with Candace or not, she definitely came into this interview ready to go. Shots fired. Let's just be honest. Let's just start with this. Starting the stage, right? As we know, Candace always does an intro on what the general topics are going to be. And she mentioned that she was going to do an interview with Victor Marx. Right after the intro, though, she gets into, she does a full breakdown of everything, or not everything she possibly has, but all the things that have been discussed on her show and the claims against Victor Marx and the questions that she has in general with his association and his relationship regarding Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk. And she just lays down the foundation, you guys. She sets the stage on all the questions she wants to talk about. She plays clips. She had 14,000 screenshots, 10,000 clips, and she just had it ready to go. And you know what? At the very least, whether you agree with her approach or not, her preparation, A1. Let's just be honest, that preparation start, I do appreciate that. Shout out to her production team. Shout out to her for kind of opening it up for us to better understand, especially those who may not have been keeping up with her, this whole Charlie Kirk investigation that's been ongoing. And for those of you who may not know how Victor Marx even came about or came into her orb or her discussions in general. So I think that was a very strong approach and opening, explaining who Victor Marx is, and then basically mentioning how this ties back to her investigations with Charlie Kirk, which I genuinely do. I genuinely do respect. I just wanted to say that because I'm not going to play the exact groundwork that she did. I think her team definitely put a lot of work into that, so definitely do go check it out. For those who watched the previous interview or previous reaction, you guys got a general gist, but I wanted to let you guys know how the interview started, because she did the groundwork without actually having him on camera yet. It was like her way of introducing him, let alone the reason why they're even there having this conversation and what they were going to discuss. Now, immediately following after her laying the groundwork, she does not waste time. And we're going to see, I'm going to play for you guys first, and then I'm going to give my general thoughts on the matter. So this is going to get interesting, guys. Be at the edge of your seats. Be at the edge of your seats, because I wasn't expecting it, and I don't think you guys are going to be expecting it either. But without further ado, let's get into it.
All right, you guys, let's bring in Victor Marx. Victor Marx, welcome to the Candace Show. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Candace.
And thank you for joining me. I'm sorry that I missed your message that came back to me on, I think it was April 22nd. I know we were pinging over Instagram, but I'm glad that you could join us today. I'd like to guide this conversation sort of in order, meaning starting a little bit with your background. I think I have a lot of questions about some of the stories that you've shared. And I was able to speak to some of your family members, and they seem to have some questions about some of the biographical items that you share. So just beginning with, I think, sort of the inflection points, this story about beheading a cat and wearing its head at the age of 3. I mean, it's not an easy thing to behead a cat. I have a lot of toddlers. Do you stand by that?
Well, let's start with, I think, what's most relevant right now are the latest accusations by your last guest, Corby, which is, I think, what brought us together on this whole issue. In what we're going to discuss and the time I'm giving you freely to talk about some things, are you willing to admit when you're wrong or you've been misguided?
So Victor, just so you know, you're on my show. I'm not on yours. So I'm going to guide the conversation. I said I'm happy to speak about Corby. There are broader concerns. Actually, the way that my highest interest in you is obviously as it relates to Charlie Kirk and your involvement with Turning Point USA.
I realize that.
Yeah,
and you're right.
We can speak about Corby, but you're, this isn't your stage. So respectfully, I do want to. You are running for governor, so I think your biography is important. Obviously, the Corby Hall stuff is important, and if something is wrong, we're happy to correct it. We did invite you to come on the show with Corby, which we asked you to do because that made the most sense, because you guys could rebut each other face to face. You declined to do that. So Corby had the stage for himself, and I could not offer a rebuttal because I wasn't there for the conversations.
Right.
So the answer is yes, but I want to start with your biographical items. Do you stand by that story, that inflection point?
Candace, we have to start with what brought me here, which is Corby. And I clearly communicated to you and your staff, do not have him on, do your research because he's unstable. And the very person that platformed him for you, Corey, has filled out a statement both with local authorities and FBI that he is homicidal, and he told her and her husband that he had plans to kill me. And she felt responsible for it being fueled. And your name was brought up as he's aggravated, something about he didn't get what he wanted out of your show. But I need you to at least acknowledge, did Corey contact y'all, not Corby, but did Corey contact y'all with the concerns of not platforming Corby again?
Well, you brought up a homicidal. That's actually something that you said in the clip that we just showed, that you yourself have had homicidal thoughts. Do you still have homicidal thoughts? Or was that a period in your life?
That was a long time ago, and I'm thankful I didn't. But currently, this gentleman is being sought by the FBI and El Paso County Sheriff Department, who admitted to Corey, the individual who platformed him on your show, that he was struggling with homicidal thoughts, and he gave detailed plans on how he was going to lay in wait to kill me. Are you
Well, that's not
and your
anything
staff
that we have heard on
familiar?
this show. So like I said, we can't rebut on that. We received only a message from Corey that she got a phone call from the FBI and that they were investigating you for gun running. Did she inform you of this? I don't know. I would really like to go back to the biographical items, though, of your life.
Okay, I just had to pause there because I don't want to get copyrighted. Yeah, as you guys can see, things just started like this is the start of the interview. Like we're probably like what 2 minutes in, 2-3 minutes in at most, and you guys can see the tension is there. I don't know if I'm assuming, right? This is my assumption. Before I'm gonna play the rest of the beginning of the interview, so you guys can see the interaction on how it formulated. And basically, laying down the you can kind of say, I guess the feel for how this interview is gonna continue, but like you can see, Candace did not waste time. She did not waste time. She immediately like ask the question, like here's the claim, here's the concern, here's why people are questioning you, let's talk about it. And I think it's important, I think her laying down the foundation and the groundwork is important, because if she would have done a softball interview, people would accuse her of things. So I think that she wanted to make sure that she addressed the allegations and concerns and claims against him and giving him time to, I guess, respond to them. But you can tell, like, at first, she kind of like lays down the groundwork, like, hey, this is how the interview is going to be structured. And it seems like at first, in first glance, before she asked the question, he was in agreement. I mean, he didn't respond. I think he nodded his head. But the moment that the energy, you can kind of say, shifted, and I think that even before then, you can tell that there was some tension, because I know that they were talking back and forth. You guys can see to set up the interview. Originally, it was supposed to be with a gentleman named Corby Hall. He didn't want to appear. He declined to appear. And, she excused herself for not responding around April. We're, almost a month from that initial, I guess, response. I know she had a lot of stuff going on and travel and stuff like that. But anyway, either way, the moment that she asked this man that question, things just flipped. The interview, in my opinion, like started to become like a power struggle. I would just say, like, you can tell Victor Marx did not like the direction Candace chose to start with. And instead of directly engaging the question, he kept trying to redirect the question to Corby Hall. I think that he was intentionally doing that, obviously, because he wanted to maybe clear up some things, maybe set up that Corby Hall was unstable, so no one should believe what he's saying. Started to say a whole bunch of things regarding the FBI and law enforcement going after him. I think Candace responded, as appropriately as she can, given the information that was provided. Obviously, she was like not playing with him at all. You can kind of tell with her approach and demeanor. She kept redirecting the question back to the original question, and she was like we're not doing this here. We're not doing this here. This is my show, and we're going to go about the order in which I framed in the beginning. Which I think if he had an issue with it, he should have said something right then and there instead of waiting for her to ask the question and then kind of like detracting. Or if he felt like that was important to mention, I would say like, hey, I do want to add a comment, but I'm going to answer your question directly. Answer the question, then say what you have to say. Because at the end of the day, you're a guest on someone's show, and I think it's just good decorum and just respect when you do that. Because when you start off the conversation like that, I mean, from an audience perspective, things are going to get a little spicy, to say the least. But I said a little bit of a lot. Let's continue with the intro, and then I'll finish up with my general thoughts regarding how things even started.
I don't want to get into your background investigations. I was not contacted by the FBI. I can't verify it. And as I said, we can discuss Corby's allegations. But I would like to begin with just the cat. Did you behead the cat at the age of 3? Do you stand by that story?
Did your team view social media, as y'all are a quasi-investigative team by all your allegations? Did you see Corey's public statement about what happened and how this is very serious. They cannot locate this individual you platformed, Corby Hall, and both his wife.
Victor,
and
I
fellow
just have to
employees.
rebut you here and say that I don't necessarily trust what you are saying, given the fact that you don't want to answer just basic biological questions. And after having spoken with your family members who say that it's largely made up, I have no reason to believe anything that you're saying right now. So I'd like to just kind of focus on your character. We can talk about Corby. I have nothing to do with any pending investigations. I have not been contacted by law enforcement. So I'm not
Have
interested
you
in
been
having a discussion about
contacted by
information
Corey?
that I
Have you
don't
been
have.
Candace, you seem to be a little afraid of truth. And what I once thought was a solid show years ago, you've turned this into a TMZ, and worse than TMZ, it's like a Temu version of it. I'm asking you, did your staff not see the statement that Corey Kennedy posted online? We're talking about a homicidal individual who has threatened to kill me, and your name was
I
brought
have
up in
not.
this.
I have answered your question. I have not seen it, so I cannot have a conversation with you about that. What I can have a conversation with you about is the statements that you have publicly made since you are joining the show, and I would like to focus on your biographical items because, as I said, I've spoken with your family in Martinville, and they claim that your stories are fantastical. So I'm just asking you, and we can then get into some questions about the alleged gun sales that you were trying to conduct with Corby, which is what we discussed on the show and which we have seen evidence for. I cannot speak to you about a report that I have not seen that you claim is happening. And I would like to just kind of get you focused here because you're running for governor. And I don't think that Corby Hall is going to be your number one issue.
Thank you.
Do you have
Corby
anything?
is my number one issue right now.
This is your
because
number one
authorities
issue
are
for the
looking
state of
him.
Colorado?
Corby is the number one issue right now, who's homicidal and admitted he wanted to kill me and how he was going to do it. That's why authorities are looking for him.
Well, I would just like to say to people that are watching this, I cannot confirm anything that Victor Marx is saying. I have not said it. I think he is using my platform to potentially spin some tales. The only thing that I heard was that there was an FBI investigation that was looking into you for guns, and that's all I've heard, and I'm not interested in that. I would like to now, since you have the stage, focus on you as a gubernatorial candidate and your background. And so if I could go back to that yes or no question, do you stand?
Okay, we're going to pause right there, guys, because a lot was said. And just a disclaimer, if there are parts that are clipped up, I may have been potentially going to get a copyright strike, so I had to just make some edits. But if not, then you guys obviously see that the portion there is full and complete. But to get to my general thoughts, that was a spicy back and forth. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. Where to even start with that? First and foremost, we're like 6 minutes, maybe 7 minutes into the interview. And it was just like it wasn't even like answering questions, general engagement. Like it was just like, I feel like just like a power struggle, like I said before, like starting to become about control. This interview this part of the interview was fascinating to me because it honestly stopped becoming about like allegations themselves, and it was just like about control. Every time Candace tried to steer the interview into one direction, Victor Marx steered into another. He kept, you guys saw, he kept wanting to revisit Corby Hall, the FBI claims, the law enforcement instability, and the credible attacks allegedly. With all this stuff, instead of just staying focused and answering the question directly, I just want to put this out there. I'm not saying Corby Hall is guilty. I'm not saying Victor Marx is guilty. I'm not saying any of that. What I am trying to articulate, though, is, the people watching, the people who are going to watch this interview, including myself, pay attention to behavior. And from the viewer's perspective, or at least speaking on my perspective, the constant redirecting honestly made the conversation feel more tense than it needed to be. At one point, it felt like he was just trying to take over as the host, which is, when you're a guest on someone's platform, I think that there is some kind of decorum or code that you should follow, even if you don't agree with what's going on, or how the approach of the conversation goes. I think there's a way of addressing it. And like I said before, answer the question, then say, like, before you answer the question, it's like, okay, I'm gonna, got you, I'm gonna answer it right now. I do have a comment at the end, but to answer your question directly, so on and so forth, what she's about to answer, and then say your comment right after. Because I think, we've seen Candace from the interviews that we've seen with Corby Hall, and that's the only interview that I've seen her do. She does allow people to express themselves to the fullest extent there. But you guys seen there's certain things that Candace said that I was like, oh my gosh. There's certain things that Victor Marx said that said, oh my gosh, I can't believe he just said that. Like, it was just a lot of unexpected, shots fired on both ends that I did not anticipate. I did like how she corrected the record in front of him, being straightforward, not trying to, softball him or anything like that. I like her direct approach. Some people are going to view it maybe as aggressive. I think it was important for her to kind of not, I guess, feed into and stay firm on her direction of how she wanted the show to go, because one, it is her show, but then also two, because like she said, she didn't have the information, she can't respond to that. And I think, her clearing that up is a rather good thing to do, and her setting this record straight on, hey, there's this is my show, this is how we're going to go about things. We can address, respectfully, we can address the things that you want in Corby Hall once we go through the chronological order when the time comes. I think that was respectful. You can tell, Victor Marx, whether you guys agree with me or not, was a little touchy-feely because he started to throw insults, saying that I thought this was a respectable platform years ago. Now it's a TMZ. No, he did not. The shade is crazy. But I think that was just an emotional kind of, rebuttal, because obviously he didn't like the approach that she took. But I don't want to beat on a dead horse, you guys. I'm not trying to make this a super long, reiterating the same thing over and over again. I want to get to the key highlights that I think, people are going to be talking about, let alone giving their thoughts and opinions on, or maybe even have curiosities about. Now, I'm going to skip over the part about the cat, the part about him addressing, certain abuses and allegations, because I think that's really sensitive. And obviously, if you want to watch the full interview, definitely do check it out on Candace. But it is very sensitive. And for those people out there, especially because we're rebuilding, right? We're restarting. I don't want to highlight too much on that. I think that, people out there that are struggling, that have experienced abuse, whether from a young age, whether from an older age, whether they're experiencing some type of mental health issues, I do think it's important for you to reach out to someone that you trust, to reach out to professionals to get the help that you need. The resources are there. I know sometimes, and they go over into this interview, which I do respect, that it is difficult to find outlets and to find people to trust when it comes to such sensitive things, because people people exploit people use it for their own gains and benefits, and most of the time people do not get the actual help that they need. But there are amazing resources out there, and even if you don't know where to start, starting with a local hospital will help you. You don't need a whole full-blown psychiatric evaluation or anything like that, but even calling them or going there and saying hey, I'm having issues with these, I don't think I need to be admitted, but I do want to know if you guys have resources or phone number I can call, in order to maybe start getting the help that I need. There are social workers out there. I know a few. I believe my aunt is a social worker. I have a friend who's a social worker, and these people are genuinely dedicated to helping people of all ages, especially children, young people, people under the ages of 21, get the help that they need. So definitely do check that out. I don't want to get into that sensitive topic because I think that, obviously I'll give you guys just a general summary. He finally answers the question. Candace tends to go into other allegations against him. He responds to them, obviously, with some kind of hesitancy. She has some questions. she kind of lays down the groundwork of like how this is a bit horrendous, making the claim, not only the claim, but saying that, hey, I spoke to your family and they think that your stories are fantastical. They're saying that they're untrue. What do you say to that? I believe he responds saying that, the specific relative that she reached out to may not be the best resource because she has issues of her own, which they all got from, I believe, her stepdad. Again, definitely go do check that out. But what I do want to get into, which is what actually connects Victor Marx to this whole entire thing with Candace, TPUSA, and the discussions around Charlie Kirk. To be fair to Victor Marx, Candace did give him the opportunity to explain himself. I think that she let him talk the same way that she let Corby Hall, talk in the first interview. And even though the interview with her was shorter, Victor Marx actually clears up that he gave her 30 minutes. They went over 30 minutes, of course. But you can kind of say that for those people that are saying like, oh, there was enough time, he set the time, not Candace. So just to be very clear with that. But especially with the conversation shifted into Erica Kirk, Turning Point Charlie Kirk, and the rumors surrounding the relationship, I do believe balance was taken. And honestly, this was probably like the calmest portion of the interview. And it was her like just probing questions that people would possibly answer, and you can see her trying to process in real time. His explanation to relationship with Charlie Kirk. So we're gonna play it here for you guys. Let's get into it, and then I'll give my general thoughts on it as well.
In interims, you do this like prayer circle, and you don't feel weird about doing that, having people, bend down in front of you and say that you're commanding demons, tell you their names. That feels
Nobody bends down in front of me. No one even has to close their eyes when we pray. We record every session on audio or video so that they can have it, so there's no miscommunication. And I don't know, you have to look at the fruit of what happens, of people being set free, like Corby's wife, Melody. She said she had struggled with thoughts in her mind, negativeness, since she was 6. And when I prayed for her, she said she was set free. It saved her life. So I don't know how that could be so wrong.
I could think of a lot of ways that it could be wrong, but I don't want to debate your theology. I just want you to have the opportunity to explain it, which I think you did. I do want to move on now to getting into some Turning Point USA stuff. So I had heard from Turning Point USA people that you also were doing prayers at the headquarters. Like you had a room where you would conduct some prayers. Is that correct?
I definitely.
Okay, I'm going to pause really quick right there because they just finished discussing about the retooling prayer. And basically she asked the question that we were all kind of curious about regarding his authority to drive out demons and so on and so forth. He explains in a general summary, without saying too much, he explains his theology. She doesn't debate or argue the theology. She just lays down the groundwork. He explains his point of view as to what, I guess, authority he's doing that in. She obviously mentions that she's Catholic, and she's not going to debate it. She just wanted him to give an explanation. My general thoughts on the matter is that I'm not, I am Christian. I'm not Catholic. I did grow up Pentecostal. And even with Pentecostals, there is like a rite of passage with the pastor, with senior, pastorships, senior leaders in the congregation that lead the congregation on a rites of passage when it comes to stuff like that. Just in general, whether you're a youth pastor, whether you're a leader in the church, or whether you're a pastor yourself, there is a rites of passage. And my pastor, he founded a congregation, so there was many, pastors and churches in that congregation, obviously to support one another, to drive more people to church and to God. But there's always a rite of passage, whether you're becoming a minister, whether you're becoming a pastor, whether you're becoming an evangelist, something within those lines. There is something that partakes to, I guess, bestow that right onto you. So it is interesting, his explanation. He was just saying, like, he just gave, like, basically I forgot which passage in the Bible specifically, but talking about when Jesus said to the disciples that you would be able to cast out demons in my name. I think that's very general. I think people should be very careful and definitely consult. Like if you feel like you have the gift, if you feel like this is something that God is calling onto you, God is about order. He does stuff in order. From the things that I was taught, I think it's important to obviously go and be called to what God has you to do. But obviously, like anything, there's a learning process. Like Jesus didn't start when he was a kid and became, the man that he became, that we know him to be, with all the miracles and stuff like that. So just like, you coming to the faith, whether you're older, whether you're starting off younger, whatever the case may be, we all come to the faith as a child, and we're directed in the faith by the leaders in our churches, by our pastors, whether you're Catholic or priest. So I think it's very important that you consult people who've actually studied the Bible, people who actually dedicated their lives and are viewed as not only examples, but as like your point of reference when you have questions, when you want to do something. Because I think that they're going to not only help you navigate this gift or this calling, they're going to help you go about it the right way as best as possible. So I just wanted to put that out there. They're about to go into the Charlie Kirk stuff, which items that, and the Charlie Kirk discussion, excuse me. So let's take a listen.
I definitely prayed for a couple of people there. Yeah, sure, including
Did you
Charlie.
pray over Charlie and Erica Kirk in one of these prayers?
I prayed for Charlie. Yes, I did. He asked me to.
And did you do this sort of a retooling angels, demons sort of prayer over him and Erica?
Just Charlie. He asked me to.
Okay. And they gave you an office to do this. Is that right?
I prayed for him in his office.
And also other people at Turning Point USA outside of Charlie?
I think there were 3 other people that I prayed for that asked for that. Yeah.
Okay. How did you meet Charlie and or Erica?
I was speaking at an event at a small Hispanic church in California, and Charlie was scheduled to speak, and the pastor asked me last minute to speak. I did, and it was before Charlie. He was a little aggravated that there was another speaker before him because it was a Sunday morning, and I knew about Charlie but never met him. And after I spoke, he spoke, and then we met back in a little makeshift green room, and he says, I've never heard of you, but I'm absolutely encouraged to hear your testimony and what God's done in your life. And he wanted me to have his number and stay connected, so we did. That's how it started.
And was that when he was already married to Erica, or was that a little bit before?
Yes, he was already married to Erica.
Did you meet them both at the same time or met her a bit later?
No, she was there.
Okay, somebody at Turning Point also conveyed to me, and again, this could be inaccurate, which is why I'm asking you, that there was this falling out period, that you and Charlie did have a little bit of a falling out. Is that correct?
No.
You never had a falling out with Charlie?
No.
Okay.
No.
That might have been, they might have had the wrong information.
Well, and I...
Okay, I won't pause there, because you could just tell on Candace's face, it's just like, there's some kind of disbelief there, but you know what? Teach its own. They're just obviously going into the discussion, and I think it's good that she's like probing questions, because obviously like things are going to come up. But I do think that she is processing the information in real time as well. I didn't say this before. I appreciate that he is well dressed, coming into this. I obviously the way he's dressed does not cover up his behavior. But I think this is the point in the interview where things start just to go a little bit smoother, as you guys can see. She's asking questions, he's answering them, she's giving him time to speak and elaborate on them. So I think, at least from here on out, before we get into the closing remarks of the interview, I think it's fair game, to say the least. But let's continue.
Well, and I heard or saw that you said he unfollowed me, or we unfollowed each other. Somebody asked me that in another interview. I made them open up their phone, go to Instagram, go on Charlie's and see if he was following me. You can do it right now. He still follows me.
No, they said it was a period. It was the person had said it was a period. They weren't saying that it was forever. I was just figuring I'd ask you about that.
Yeah. No,
okay,
we never
so
had a falling out.
Okay.
Okay. So to be fair, I'm playing with lack of a better phrase, devil's advocate here. I don't know if the person who said that claim was true or not, but to be fair, didn't like Erica say in the beginning that she had Charlie's phone, so she could easily followed him back. Like, there's a next level of explanation for that. But I do, you don't know. We don't know. We're not in the weeds. We don't understand the full dynamic of the relationship. We're just going based off of what the claims were that Candace got and what Victor Marx is saying. I think it's fair to give him the benefit of the doubt in this situation, especially like they're still following each other now. We don't know if that happened again after Erica got possession of Charlie's phone or before. We just don't know. But I think she asks fair questions based off the claims that she's gotten. And I think, like I said, this part of the interview is going pretty smooth. But let's continue. We'll wrap up this portion soon about the dynamics with Charlie Kirk. I'll give my general opinions. And then we got to get into the closing remarks because things get spicy again, you guys. So without further ado, let's continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously a big question that we have had is you were first to post a video that was later on removed saying that Charlie had passed. And this video was about an hour and 20 minutes before the president's announcement. It would have been to the minute about the time that his family found out that he had passed away, or the people that were at the hospital have found out that he had passed away. So can you explain how you found that out and why you chose to remove the video?
Well, yeah, I'm first interested to find out why y'all think I was the first or one of the first, to do that. Because, a rough estimate, there's between 1 to 3 million pieces of social media content that are produced every second worldwide. And, my team looked it up. If there's 180 million posts per minute, and let's just say the first 30 minutes, we're talking 5.4 billion posts in 30 minutes. How could y'all narrow it down? What type of technology could y'all do to narrow it down that I was one of the first ones to post that he had passed?
Let's put it in a context that's easier. The first person in Charlie's orbit that announced that information. And when we put it down to the minute, it was when Erica found out that Charlie had passed away. So I was wondering how that was.
Okay.
I think he danced around the issue a little bit. I'm just going to be honest, because it's just like, I think he knew what he meant. Maybe not. We'll obviously give people the benefit of the doubt and grace, but you can tell Candace is like holding in like her, like she's displaying a level of restraint I don't think a lot of people have. I respect it. I'm not the one doing this interview. I'm not the one trying to like investigate all these things. But it's interesting to see how things unfold. It's interesting to see how these conversations are going. And it's interesting to see Candace in real time addressing real concerns that she has, addressing it with people that she has concerns about. I respect it, and I respect her level of restraint doing it. I do respect his approach in this current point of the interview. I think that, in my opinion, if he was just more direct with some of his responses, because I think, like, as a viewer, you're going to be like, why are you giving us that information on, like, how much posts come out, like, hour by hour, minute by minute? It's a little bit, like, irrelevant to the greater, to the actual question that's being asked, which is, like, how did you know? What information did you have to post that? When you posted it, when everyone else pretty much probably just found out about it, which I think is a fair question, and I think he admits to it, but let's continue.
I had someone text me, and he said, my son is at Charlie's event, and Charlie was just shot, and it doesn't look good. We went on it. I watched Charlie being shot one time, and my team, many who are former special operations guys and combat medics, lots of experience.
Sorry, guys. I just want to be clear because you guys see me laughing. I'm not laughing at what he's saying. What he's saying is like very serious. This is obviously about Charlie Kirk's death. I'm laughing at Candace Owens' face. Like she's just like you. Like I can't speak for her. I don't know what maybe this is her processing what he's saying face. But it's just like, to me, she's just like, dude, please stop. I don't like to say words like this, but for lack of a better word, like BSing me. That's just like what it like. That's just what her face is giving. She's just like, I'm over it. I'm over the BS here. But let's continue. That was just funny, and I wanted to explain to you guys. I don't want you guys to think that I'm heartless or what he's saying is funny. No, her face is just cracking me up right now. Let's continue.
They viewed it multiple times because I wouldn't. And they said Charlie wouldn't live from that. And I knew it. I knew the only time I saw it, I knew there's no way he could have survived that. And when I made a post and said, you know, Charlie's passed, of course I know Frank Turret, I know the security teams. I put it up, and then I didn't see anybody else posting it. I thought it was premature, and I pulled it down because it just felt wrong that I would post it. But I wanted people to pray. And then I contacted Erica through a text and told her. I just told her, nobody's going to kill you. You're safe. You and the kids. No one's coming after you. They just wanted Charlie. And I was just trying to reassure her. Because
so you declared he was dead on the basis of people saying it didn't look good?
On the basis of people, myself included, who've held dead and dying men from combat.
Yeah, that was an awkward pause right there. Premise. What happened to Charlie Kirk was very, very unfortunate, and the fact that we all witnessed it obviously just makes things 100 times worse, because people are left with a lot of questions. Granted, why Candace Owens is investigating, because she has tons of questions. I think she didn't really buy the the explanation that he gave, but I respect her for allowing him to say it in its entirety. It is a little bit weird, I'm not gonna lie, his choice of words to reassure Erica. I'm just a different personality, and I'm skeptical of things and people. It just comes with my analytical nature. It's, it could be a blessing and a curse sometimes. But I tend to like maybe overthink on what different people say, what they don't say, how they approach things, their behavior, their mannerisms, and it's like I said, it could be a blessing, but also a curse in its own way. And I think the choice of words that he used to reassure Erica, to me, is a little weird, because yes, I think, and this is just me, right? Because I have my own personality. I know Erica has her own personality. Everyone does. I don't think the first thing that would come to mind, especially like if I'm not in the general location of where, like, let's just say it was my husband and that happened. I'm not in a general location of where he is. So my immediate safety, and maybe this is not the best framework, wouldn't be in question. I would just be like, I need to get to my husband. I need to get to my husband. I need to get to my husband. I think, and thinking like at the same time of who contact me and what they're saying is just like, I'm probably going out for blood, for lack of a better word, or going off to anything that seems suspicious to me. And to me, I think that my initial reaction, I probably wouldn't have responded right away, because I'd be like, yeah, I'm not even there. Like, why would someone go after me or my children? But it's not nonsensical to say either, right? Some people probably think like, oh my gosh, am I safe? They're trying to kill us all. So on and so forth. I think some people would probably think more in like the Kennedy assassination, where they killed Kennedy. If they really wanted to, like, his wife was standing right there, they could have shot her up too. So I'm not saying it's unfair to say. I just think it's weird, the kind of wording, especially like when she's not in the general vicinity, her kids are not there. And some people might even take that as a threat, or some people might take that as like, how do you know if they're gonna go after me and the kids or not? Were you involved? Like, those kind of questions will come up to like a person who has like a speculative personality, right? And who's like just had something happen. Obviously, Erica felt like it was, that was an okay response. Candace, I think, in her head probably is thinking not maybe exactly the way that I'm thinking about it, but maybe like a little bit closer to what I'm thinking about, rather than just saying like, hey, that's normal to say to someone. But you can see that she's processing the information in real time. So, who knows? Who knows what she's thinking? Who actually knows if Erica thought that was a normal response or not? We're just hearing Victor Marx's approach. And I think based off of how he tries to explain things, if you don't understand like people's mannerisms, if you don't really look into how people communicate and so on and so forth, you can get caught up with certain things. But then again, all we have is what we're seeing at face value. So I'll leave it there. I want to they move forward into the relationship with Erica Kirk, how that kind of established why he was there the day that Charlie Kirk passed away. He gives his explanation saying that it was because he was asked to offer security by Erica Kirk or by someone on her team. He doesn't really elaborate. He said offer relief and security because the people that were doing security basically didn't, they were exhausted. There was a lot of stuff going on. He came to support Erica, and it was because he was asked, which is, I think a fair explanation at the very least. They go on to better elaborate the relationship that Erica Kirk has with his wife. He explains that. They go into the missionary stuff, as we said before. They went into like the retooling stuff. So I'm just like generally summarizing how the interview went, because it was relatively long, and I think that you guys should definitely go and watch it because there was definitely interesting parts in it. Those are the things that I wanted to bring to your forefront. But let's get into the closing statements, because Candace just basically just like lays it all flat out there, which you guys can determine for yourselves. I'll give you my thoughts right after. So let's get into it. Oh, and I forgot to mention, they get into the Israel-Palestine stuff, whether, what Israel doing is a genocide. He explains like his position that he took on Charlie Kirk. But yeah, let's get into the closing statements, because Candace starts, let's just say, like she doesn't hold back.
Well, the old website is just, did this get changed? But a pastor, I don't know who changed this. Maybe you had somebody doing your website and that got changed. Did you have somebody make the website for you?
I can't.
It says a high-risk humanitarian who has rescued more than 45,000 women and children.
That's completely inaccurate. I would have never. What website is that on?
It's 2026.com.
We never, anybody, they're saying that was on our website. I don't believe that. We would never put rescued 45,000. Never.
Okay. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I don't.
That. It's just, when it will still save former edits on a website. So it may have just been your website guy got something wrong. So I just wanted to let you know that we didn't
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that is very interesting to hear your perspectives on what Israel is doing. I think it's probably going to be a number one issue. And I think right now, currently, people feel that the majority of the politicians have sold out to AIPAC. And I would definitely have some questions about your relationship with the IDF. And like I said, Corby did not say that you did anything illegal by if you are,
well, I can tell you,
are legally allowed to buy and sell guns.
Never did I ask Corby for 50,000 weapons for IDF. Why? I have an FFL. I only buy stuff for ourselves, for our training. That's ridiculous. That's absurd. And again, Corby's still loose out there. And if he's watching, Corby, please turn yourself in to some authorities. Let them question you. And like I said from the beginning, please get help. Don't act upon the thoughts you're hearing.
So I'm sorry. Are you presenting that he's on the run right now from the federal government? Because that's a remarkable claim.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's on the run, but I'm saying that the authorities are looking for him to question him.
Have they tried to call him?
I guess, I don't know. It's both the FBI and El Paso County.
That would just be a good start if you're looking for someone to just call them, right?
Well, I'm sure they have. It's an open investigation, but I'm just saying Corby should just stop whatever he's doing and respond to authorities to get this sorted out.
But you don't know if they've reached out to him, but you're saying he should stop and respond?
I do not know. They've contacted me and said, do you know where he is? Do you know where he would be? And I'm like, I do not. So
okay, well,
that's why I'm
just to go back,
this.
just so you know, the way that you said it in the first time, you made it kind of sound like he was on the run from authorities, right? Turn yourself in sounds like, when you say turn yourself in, it sounds like there's a warrant for your arrest. So this is what I think that sometimes you can get, maybe don't realize it, but you can get a little fantastical in your descriptions. Corby, stop what you're doing and turn yourself in is a little bit different from, I have no idea if they're reaching out to him, but I was told they might give him a call, right? So that's a little more reasonable of a statement to make.
Well, let me make it very clear. The FBI has contacted us. It's an open investigation, and El Paso County Sheriff Department, they are looking for Corby. Plain and simple. He should stop what he's doing and contact them or turn himself in to local authorities wherever he is so he can be questioned.
You don't have to turn yourself in if there's not a warrant for your arrest. Respectfully, like, that's not how that works. If they just have to call them. I think that's a perfect place to leave that. Let's not pretend. If you said there's a warrant for his arrest, that'd be a little different, but you are not required in any of the 50 states to turn yourself in because somebody says, okay, we're gonna try to make some contact with this person. You have not said that he's not answering. I want to stay away from the fantastical stories and the narratives and just stick to the facts. Like I said, I've heard that there's an open investigation into you and has something to do with guns. I don't know, but I wouldn't just assert things.
True.
We could say, Victor, stop what you're doing and turn yourself in because somebody got a phone call.
That's a complete fabrication.
Okay.
I work with law enforcement.
Okay. Well,
Candace,
we'll leave that alone.
Okay. They're about to get real spicy. But I wanted to let you guys hear that because the Corby Hall thing was, I think, kind of what even brought the introduction into why they're even meeting today. I think a lot could be said there. I think nothing could be said there. I think Candace's point about having a warrant is pretty important. I think that if Victor Marx genuinely does have concerns that he continues to work with law enforcement, and whatever the case may be, I don't have much to comment on there. But you guys can see that the conversation was going smooth, then it got real hostile. Well, not real hostile, but the tensions are starting to rise. And this is the part, closing statements, where the tensions are at in full effect right now. Full effect. Let's continue.
We'll leave that alone. So
we
you
don't
assert
have to.
that Corby's accusations against you are...
If someone said they were going to kill you and they told somebody how, would you want that person to talk to the law enforcement agencies?
I have no evidence of that. And like I said, some of your stories, just a perfect example is what you just did there.
It's Corey
when you say
Kennedy
stop and turn yourself in.
Platformed Corby. Obviously, this is a little bit more.
And I am platforming you right now, actually. So here we go.
Yeah, but I've done nothing wrong. If
never in your
anything,
life.
Obviously she's being sarcastic, but you guys can see the tension is rising. I think that this conversation could have gone a lot smoother if it didn't start off the way that it did. That's just my opinion. But like I said, there may have been some tensions that happened way before this conversation even started. Obviously, it took a while to set up. So who knows what the back and forth things have been about. But his face is just like her comment and his face just has me like, yo, this is like entertainment at its finest. Like, this is like, you ever say like Judge Judy or like Judge Matthews, like those kind of episodes where like people just say something outrageous and you're just like, oh my gosh, or the tension start rising and you're just like, you want to watch, but it's hard, but it's not hard. It's funny. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And please don't judge me too much, guys. I just wanted to, I'll bring up my thoughts of why I wanted to even bring this topic to you guys at the end, but let's finish up. Let's wrap up with their closing statements.
That's just incredibly sarcastic.
Yeah, I was being sarcastic. I find you to be arrogant and off-putting, actually. It was a little bit of sarcasm of me basically pointing to the fact that you come across as very arrogant, and it is off-putting that you make statements like you make. Stop what you're doing and turn yourself out. You're constantly presenting yourself like you're some sort of an authority. You can just deliver the facts. I received a phone call from this person. They said they might be looking for him, and I don't know where that went since. That would be a logical,
Candace,
non-emotive
it's
statement.
completely appropriate for me to say law enforcement is looking for an individual who confessed to someone who platformed him on your show, connected y'all, that he is homicidal and he wants to kill me, and this is how he's going to do it.
I just
the same way that
don't
Charlie
know
was killed.
if I believe that the feds would need you to help look for him if that were true. They do have resources. But like I said, I also don't believe that you beheaded a cat when you were 3, because kids are not that strong, and that's a hard thing to do. I don't believe you wore a cat head because there's a lot of things that you say that I don't believe. So I'm just going to file it under.
But I'll tell you, be very careful in minimizing someone who's been victimized, including children, because there are millions of us out there.
I do not believe the story that you were forced to behead a cat and it was your first memory.
You don't have to. But be very careful minimizing.
And wore a hat. I don't believe that. I truly don't. And that is not to victimize children. I do think that what you're actually doing is you're being emotionally manipulative by saying, oh, if you don't believe me, then you don't believe victims. No, I believe things that sound believable because I have a logical, rational brain. And I have to stop
you've never been victimized. You've never
shooting
suffered
and murdering
abuse.
people, and the sheriff's department not wanting to figure out who that is or not knowing where it happened.
I'll tell you
a
what,
lot of it
Candace,
does not ring true to me. And like I said, I did enough due diligence to speak to your relatives, and they say that it's not true.
You haven't done your due diligence.
You're presenting it as though they're protecting the abuser. I just am telling you, I personally don't believe it.
Basics.
And
how about we introduce
I
you
were
to the
Colorado
international
residents,
crimes? I would say this.
I wouldn't be voting for you.
We can introduce you to international, well, you're not, it doesn't matter. What I would say is this, the international crimes against children, let us introduce you to detectives that actually work on child abuse cases and have one conversation with them to see what's really real.
I don't. I'm sorry.
You don't have to. I'm not saying you have to, but I'm saying don't minimize people who've been victimized as children.
I'm talking about you directly, so you don't have to make this.
I am.
You don't have to universalize
one that represents millions, Candace.
I don't think you represent millions, Victor Marx. I really struggle, and I actually am hopeful that you don't represent millions. I want to have a hopeful picture of the future of this country.
There are millions that follow me that suffer abuse, and that's why our films, our books, that's why me telling my story encourages and gives them hope. That's as simple as that. We'll never stop doing that. Whether you believe it or not, that's not the point here. The point is to say that I didn't suffer abuse the way I'm sharing it.
I'm not saying you didn't suffer some form of abuse. I'm saying you didn't.
It's horrible.
I don't believe you wore a beheaded cat head after you beheaded it. I don't believe that. If that's okay, if we can just agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah.
Just a lot of the mechanisms there just don't make sense to me.
You should talk to ICAC detectives, people who work on sex crimes against children and kids who are abused and murdered. There was a kid here, 4 years old, that was beat to death.
I believe kids are beat to death.
Yes, that's right.
Absolutely. Wait, but if he was beat to death, he wasn't there, right?
Pardon me?
There was a kid that you said was there at your house, and then he got beat to death?
No, here in Colorado, recently, a 4-year-old was beat to death by a caregiver. 4 years old.
That happens all across the nation. That's a believable story.
That's right. And do you think they never suffer any type of torment or torture before that, or is it just an act?
I would struggle to believe that a 3-year-old beheaded a cat and then had to wear it on their head. I struggle with that one, if that's okay.
The cat was dead.
I didn't think it was alive after it was beheaded. I mean, I don't think we're disagreeing on whether or not the cat was alive.
Study voodoo. Candace, do a short study in voodoo and understand voodoo rituals against boys. If you go deep enough, you'll see how twisted it is. I'm not here to glorify darkness at all. That's not my point. My point is that we bring life and hope, and maybe some things that even you don't believe that happened to me as a child motivate me to help kids over these last 40 years, which is documented and provable. I don't know why you feel you're the person who has to, but maybe I do now because you just said it. If you lived in Colorado, you wouldn't vote for me. So maybe you're getting paid by somebody to discourage a vote toward me, which is The
I'm
only
not
reason
being
all
paid by
this
anybody.
stuff,
I actually removed
all
myself
this
from
stuff
politics altogether after
yeah.
Charlie got killed. I'm not
Well,
paid by anybody.
but you didn't remove yourself because you just made a statement. So,
No, I said
hey,
I don't live in Colorado, so it's not.
but
There's
if you
no
did,
consequence for you.
you told people not to vote.
Yeah, I will be. I will own that. I have many times since the Charlie Kirk assassination and the lies surrounding his assassination have said.
Well, thanks
no
for
one
leaning
should.
into trying to dissuade people from voting for me and discredit me as a child who was abused. I've given plenty of time. It's supposed to be 30 minutes. Do you have any follow-up questions because I do have to end
Nope.
this,
I
please?
thank you very much for your time. I wanted
You're
to make sure
welcome.
that I provided you equal time to be able to answer some of the questions. I think you did clarify some things. I don't think
Good.
anyone will ever forget that you served for 3 years. I won't. I will make sure.
Okay, we're gonna stop there because I'm gonna definitely have to clip up some things from this specific one. Just to let you guys know. But a lot was said. You guys saw it got pretty, like they were talking over one another. There was definitely some tension there. It got a little bit aggressive. Definitely defensive. But my general thoughts, you can tell Candace was prepared for accountable journalism. Victor Marx came prepared for damage control. And again, that doesn't automatically make someone guilty of something, but it does affect how the audience processes the interview. I think subconsciously people watch for tone, body language, willingness to answer questions directly, emotional regulation, and humility. And unfortunately for Victor Marx, there were some moments he came across more irritated than transparent, which obviously doesn't help the case if you're trying to, let's just say, handle allegations or discredit or explain your position on certain allegations or claims that were done against you. But, Candace ending was honestly, she was brutal. She was brutal. She was straightforward. She basically says, I don't believe this man. And she emphasizes, regardless of what's true or what's not, she stands on her opinion on it. His overall demeanor, conduct, and character throughout the interview felt off-putting to her, which, I mean, obviously there are behaviors that are very clear as to why she may feel that way. And honestly, I understood why she may have felt that way. I mean, we all probably understood he was definitely dancing around the issues, trying to take control of the interview instead of just focusing on answering the questions, being transparent. And if he did have additional concerns or things that he wanted to say, I think that she let him talk at length and she would have let him elaborate on those things. So there wasn't necessarily a need to dominate the conversation as much as he has. I don't think that this was supposed to be a debate. I think that this was supposed to be them, like her genuinely investigating certain claims and allegations against him. And I think this would have been a perfect opportunity for him to address those things. I think if he was, a little bit more calm when addressing it and not so, you can kind of say, like, eager to defend himself, which I understand why he would be. Like, there's a lot of things that are being said to him. He's trying to run for governor. I get it. But, how you perform under pressure does say a lot, especially when you're trying to run for a position that does have a lot of pressure. And that's just my 2 cents, right? You can take it or leave it. That's just what I think most people would say and perceive from this conversation. I think they will also say that Candace was very, very aggressive. She was not letting up in any shape, way, or form. She, I respect the fact that she was clear and transparent from the beginning to how she laid down the groundwork, to how she ended the interview, and just saying it right to his face. I think a lot of people would have done the interview, maybe softball it, maybe even be just as aggressive, but then not say certain things to him, to his face, which I respect. Like, some people are going to say that's distasteful. Some people may say it's, very aggressive for a woman, whatever the case may be. I don't know. All I will say is that I do appreciate the honesty and straightforward approach that she had regarding Victor Marx. But I think this interview is important because it reminds people that communication does matter. How you answer difficult questions matter. How you handle pressure matters. And sometimes people don't realize the audience are not the only ones listening to what you say. They're paying attention to how you say it. And I also think Candace deserves credit for having a conversation, even though it was clearly uncomfortable, at least for me. And that a lot of people would criticize her for even having in the first place, and continue to criticize her for having. A lot of people wouldn't even touch this topic. They would want to stay clear of this topic because, a lot of the things that were discussed, whether if it was allegations towards him, allegations towards trafficking, allegations towards, abuse with other people. It's not like these are soft topics. These are really hard topics that make people scared to even touch or talk about. Example, everything with, you know, JE, for lack of a better, I don't want to say his name on YouTube. I don't think it's allowed for some reason, but, regarding him, they don't want to come close to the topic. And whether if it's because they, are, scared for their safety, for their career. I think at the end of the day, it does take a lot of bravery to do that, and I respect her for it. And I respect him for at least coming on. I think a lot of people would avoid Candace right now, given the fact that she's like on the hype, like she's on the offense right now for sure when it comes to finding out what happens with Charlie Kirk. So I appreciate him coming on and clarifying certain things. But that's just what I think, guys. You may agree with me, you may disagree with me. Whether you do agree with me or not, do comment below. I want to know what you guys' thoughts are regarding the matter. I don't think that, maybe not. We'll probably find more clarity regarding Victor Marx' relationship with Charlie Kirk, if the allegations regarding Charlie Kirk are true or not. But I will say that this was at least a small needle towards the truth because of his willingness to come on and address certain things. Now, whether things were done honestly, whether everything was said, I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see how things continue to unfold. I will give you guys my general opinions and thoughts on things that I think were relevant. But what I want you guys to take away from this is that it's important how you approach things, important how you say things, and it's important that you try to remain calm, especially under pressure, because you can make things worse than what they actually are. But that's all I have for you guys today. So drop your thoughts below, and do remember, we drop content every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So do remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. So bye.